We convene the meeting.
I think,
Second.
We are convened. Can I hit it?
Yeah, you gotta turn it either on or off. It's already on.
And we were going to do, oh shoot,
we're live, right? We started the meeting?
we started the meeting. I don't know if we're live or not, but we started the meeting.
But the good side, you wanna sit over there, that way you can.
Actually, you
face
know what,
the
I'll give this to Kevin, and
I can grab the chair.
Is he here?
He is, he'll be in a second.
All right.
We haven't finished up some bills. He's
So
going out of town.
are we going to do the senior center budget too?
yes, but I figured we'd wait with that one until Trevor came, so
Yeah,
that he
Trevor
could
wants
speak to
to.
it.
Yeah,
Alright,
Trevor
so we
won't be
got-
here until after 6:30.
Right there next to Bruce, between Bruce and Jack.
What did I do wrong?
Tag, you're it!
You showed up at the meeting. That was,
I was gonna sit right here just because it was close to this little,
See if we can squeeze you in and get your corner.
thank you.
Okay.
so I think the first one we've got of Kevin's is,
We're not
that's all right, town,
Not gonna do the minutes yet?
oh, sorry, yes. we
No,
already-
no, I don't care. I
No,
just-
we're into the minutes.
Did you wanna do town building maintenance, or do you wanna do?
We're gonna do the
easy ones
minutes first.
Okay. So we're gonna start with town building maintenance.
You take a minute,
Yep,
make a motion to approve them?
I'll second that.
we've got a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Second, any discussion, any questions? If there are none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Allison, nice job.
600.
Thank you.
As usual.
Very nice, thank you.
4, 5, 6.
And I'll third that motion to compliment you on the minute.
Oh, flattery will get you everywhere.
I know that, that's why we're doing
Right,
it.
that's right.
Because we're smart enough
today's
to know when
date?
somebody's good at it.
Today's
Not
day.
smart enough to know not to be good at it, though.
The 27th.
27?
So all of you received a fresh town building maintenance budget in your boxes?
Mm-hmm.
Great, just wanted to make sure you.
So town building maintenance is 192, 5,400.
5,400. 192, 54.
Yeah,
Oh. Yes, sorry, I could have read this.
No, no, that's okay. We're usually there early.
600. And so the number on that is 83,400, right?
No, 8,400.
8,400. 8,400.
80,400.
80,400.
Yeah, and the reason why I think is if you got the 83, it's because if you look at EMS on yours, you probably got 6,000 instead of 3.
Yes.
Yeah, we brought
Okay,
it, we
that's
brought it
right.
down.
Is that one of the ones that got handed out tonight?
Yes,
Yes,
it was in your box.
it should have been in your mailbox.
What was the number again? I'm sorry.
192, 5,400.
Okay, here we go.
And that one has the
Catch
80.
up here.
80,400.
80,400
Okay, all right.
for basically a $9,000
Reduction.
reduction.
Yep.
Okay.
Make a motion, we approve this.
I'll second it.
And if anything goes down, we can't fool around with, we don't want them to change their mind.
No, no, no.
One quick
No.
question.
Quick.
You anticipating the sewer to go up that much?
Actually, I paid almost $6,000 this past year.
Really?
Yeah,
Goddamn sewer.
damn it. So,
Oh, excuse
long
me.
story short is we, I got my hands on an additional water meter, and Deerfield Academy is going to be installing it for free.
Okay.
So that way, so that,
Keep
so
the
that way we
water
get a
and keep the
separation
ball
of
field
the ball
separate.
field, and that should drop it down. I'm hoping it's gonna drop down at least $3 grand.
Which one?
A water what? Heater?
Water
time
meter?
out.
Water meter.
Water meter.
That
sorry.
makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, water meter, so that way it separates what's building usage and what's used for irrigation.
Okay.
It's probably a lot when up there.
Oh, yeah, tons.
So one of the
So
things,
that-
one of the
Yes.
things that was not on the capital plan was the construction of a parking area at the EMS building.
Yes, that's correct.
So we probably need to add that.
I think John has some things that he's got in the works to try to get that done for little or nothing.
That would be correct.
But in any event, we've got the, there's an agreement that if it has to be paid for, that we can pay for that out of the rent.
Correct monies.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
all right, so long as that's understood, that's all.
And as far as the capital plan, nothing came forward on that.
Negative, did not.
Okay. So next,
Do we vote on that?
You haven't voted.
oh, that's right.
Aye.
It's moved, seconded, 80,400. All those in favor?
So are you-
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm sorry.
That was unanimous?
Yes.
600, okay.
Yeah, I really don't wanna make this any longer on myself, but I wanna make sure, I just wanna be completely transparent here. If you look down where it says maintenance software, it's $1,000. Just so you're all aware, what that maintenance software is I was able to get my hands on a asset management program, which will take care of all of our buildings, all of our signs, all of our trees, everything in town, to include faucets, door handles, locks, you name it. It's an asset, we can track it forever. We got a $17,000 program for $10,000. Maya paid $9,000 of it, I paid $1,000 out of my budget, and the original annual was supposed to be $7,000, and because of arm twisting, we got it down to $5,000. So $1,000 goes to town office building, $2,000 goes to highway, $2,000 goes to wastewater treatment. So, just so you're aware.
Right.
And
Well
can
done.
can I just point out a couple of other quick things?
Mm-hmm.
Church building maintenance, we've lowered to what is really a more accurate reflection of what we've been paying because we're not using the building.
Mm-hmm.
And with the EMS building maintenance, if the select board decides that the vehicle they want to use for that extra, that lease money to keep aside for projects, if they decide that they want the revolving fund, which is specifically for that, this $3,000 will come out of this budget because that will then be in that fund instead. If they decide that they're gonna use a stabilization fund instead and set aside a certain percentage of the lease income instead, then this will remain here because it'll be a cost to us.
You mean if the town meeting decides?
Pardon?
You
Yes.
mean if the town meeting decides?
Right. And the reason Kevin lowered the amount is because the actual cost to maintain that building is probably gonna be a lot less than $6,000 actual dollars put out the door, because his staff is actually doing the mowing and the lawn and the snow removal and so on and so forth, so that's kind of built into his budget.
Thank you for doing that.
All over it.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
What's next, boss? Gotta move this meeting along.
We do.
I haven't seen
Public
this
Works,
side of it. I
right?
like it.
What's that? What's that?
What was it?
I like this side of
Yeah.
Mr. Jurek.
Public Works, right?
Okay, Public Works.
What's the
Yes,
budget
the
number?
general highway, 422-5110.
Yes.
5110 or 5400?
5,400.
No, 5110, you've
Oh.
got payroll. Payroll needs to be done first.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, that comes before 5400.
Well,
We already have that then, right? That's
Whatever, yes.
not tonight?
You had it, yes, you had that one. That hasn't changed.
192, 5410.
422.
5110.
422.
422 5110.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, he said 192, so I was worried he's in the wrong tab.
Need bigger tables. Or
Smaller papers.
Or smaller notebooks.
Come on down. I'll share.
So there's a 6% or 6.5% increase in the budget. Of that, 18,000 is for a part-time administrative assistant, which is a new position.
Basically, what I did was I put it out is because it's arbitrary at this point in time right now. It's a grade 2, step 3, 1830, and again, that was just a
Mhm.
dart thrown against the wall because I have no idea how this is all gonna play out. And what type of person I'm going to get is going to depend on pretty much, what we pay on what they can do. I mean, if they can do everything all at once and there's no learning curve, and then they're worth a little bit more money. But if we have to work them along, then they have to pay their dues to be able to make more money, in my opinion. But again, I just put it out as grade 2, step 3, just as a placeholder per se.
Well, and you have a job description, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Well, we have a job description. I'm not sure how valid it is, but there's a job description.
It's
Okay.
a basic is what it is. It needs to be tweaked up a little bit more, but it is at least something has started.
Just a quick question, personnel board, were they involved with that or anything?
We looked at this in December,
Yeah.
Okay.
and, I think I had questions as to whether we really wanted to go at this point in time with a 20-hour or 19-hour-a-week position, but someone needs to be down there to handle the bills so that Kevin is not spending, I don't know how many hours, 5, 6 hours a week, whatever it is. Let somebody else do that. We're paying Kevin $40 an hour to do a job that can be done for $20 an hour. And it doesn't make sense, because that means that he's not doing something else. So, that's the issue.
Makes sense to me.
It did to me.
Fine. Did the board approve that?
They did.
The
select board-
personnel
select
board,
did approve.
and I don't know what the select board, I haven't the slightest idea what they,
Select
Select
board
board
has
last night
approved.
did.
Mhm.
when?
Last night.
Oh,
Yes.
well, only took 2 months.
So this was approved by personnel and select.
Look at it.
That's right, that, we're making progress.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your, somebody wants to
I'll-
make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to recommend 4225110 for, 525, 347.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention? One abstention?
Yep.
Okay, so it's 501.
Was that Jeff?
I want to note, just for the record, that it's up 3% without the new position.
Correct.
So that's,
Right. Well,
Just so you're aware,
yeah.
part of that too,
That's
that,
pretty good.
that 3% that went up is part of the longevity. I believe that's
Yeah.
where some of it gets jumped into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kevin is earning
Which has
longevity
no-
for the first time. But you have 4 employees that have been at step 10 for the last couple of years, I think.
Correct.
So that's why his increase wouldn't have been.
Bless you.
Bless you.
thank you.
And that's according to the grade, that's according to.
Yeah, they
compensation
got,
plan,
they
correct?
basically got 1.5% increase in their pay. Yeah.
You know what that indicates?
Been here too long?
Happy employees, good pay, and they don't wanna leave because there's nothing better out there.
Or lazy employees and don't, oh, never mind.
So,
I agree, John.
so when they're
There's a lot because of benefits.
I know, that's what I said.
so when they're
Yeah.
carrying signs and walking in front of your office tomorrow, you'll know why, right?
No, they're gonna laugh at everybody and say, we know it. They just finally smartened up.
Okay, so
Okay.
Do we vote?
we voted it, 501.
501?
Yes.
So the next one is one that I gave you a
I
new
guess you're
copy
not-
of today. And that's 422-5400.
Okay, so it's in the box.
We lowered that one a little bit.
I lowered that one a lot.
Yes,
It took like
well, the equipment rental.
3% out.
Oh, right, yes.
The
Oh, and the software, right, we changed that too.
Yeah, because it was.
there's a number
6.65% originally.
render, it must be a glitch in the cells or something. Subtotal, or adjustment to voted amount.
What's that?
In 2017.
The
there was an
subtotal's
adjustment.
241,650 for 2020.
Oh, I see what you're looking at, John. I'll look at that, I don't know why.
What's the real number, though?
245.50?
No,
250 was-
241,650 on the
It
financials.
does say that, okay, so it is 241,650, so something is wrong with the formula in there.
There's, yeah.
So if that's the case, the formula's off all the way across.
Yeah,
What's that do for the percentage?
not for your numbers though, not for the current year numbers.
Yeah, I'd like to make just a in general statement. One of the problems, I understand where we're trying to go with, you know, we're trying to, obviously, you're going on a theory of a 3%, but sometimes that number gets extremely skewed when you're talking a $253,000 budget compared to a $9.7 million budget. So when you go up 3.875% on a $10 million budget, that's a whole lot more than $8,300. Just so everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That's-
understand, yeah.
That's kind of where I'm coming from. You know, I understand, I completely understand, I'm definitely trying to keep all my stuff down low for obvious reasons. But that percentage gets very skewed when you're talking very large numbers.
The actual percentage increase is 4.8%.
And I came up with, if the numbers for 2020 that are listed here are correct, and the numbers for 2021 are correct, then the difference is $11,700.
That'd be about right, yeah. That's 4.8%.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're going off of
241,650, yeah. Probably most of it's the equipment rental, right?
Yeah, so if you wanna go.
Which I understand where that's coming from.
If you wanna, well, actually, that's half of what it was. I asked for 12,000 originally, and then when I looked at what the numbers were, I'm like, I can't do
But
it.
that's the mini excavator?
That's correct, yeah, that and plus, I do have some areas on Lower Road, because I'm gonna be doing work on Lower Road, as far as fixing it, doing a cold in place, repave, and I'm gonna have to do a rubber and stone on top of that as a wearing course. I do have some areas on the side for drainage I have to take care of. The mini's gonna work out great for that, but at the same time, I'm able to go ahead and put a whole ram attached to it, which is like a little mini
Right, yeah.
jackhammer that's actually attached to the arm of the mini excavator, because I've got a ton of ledge up there. And that's what's blowing the water into the road. So if I figure if I can take care of the drainage, get the water out of the road, then the road should last all that much longer, because water is not my friend. Water and shade is the two things that kills my roads.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, I don't see what your equipment rental is, but you've rented equipment in the past.
Right, and I'm stealing from Peter to pay Paul.
Okay, so what budgets did
Did it come out
those
of
come
before?
from before?
Okay, well, I only did one rental last year, and I took that out of projects. Because I figured that was the closest thing I could
John.
come
And
up
what
with.
is actually projects maintenance?
So.
Projects
when I
is
added a
anything that's
line,
like
it left my formula,
not
so it
known,
included the line
stuff that's
above
up and
the
coming.
total.
Oh, okay, so it's
It's,
a
it's,
contingency.
yeah, it's
It's a
maintenance,
contingency.
correct, yeah, it's maintenance, yeah, contingency for the maintenance.
Yeah.
Of unforeseen maintenance, that's
Yeah.
probably the easiest way of saying it. Yeah,
Okay.
contingency
Alright.
is probably the best word.
I didn't know whether they had any
Yep.
specific.
No, unfortunately,
Okay.
I'm not able to say, I've got 10 projects, and these are the 10 projects I'm gonna take
Yeah.
care of, and this is exactly what I need for the money, and,
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
okay,
unfortunately.
so it's a contingency fund.
That would be
In all
correct.
reality.
yep. So the difference is, if you go all the way, you're starting from the top, working down, the first difference is the equipment rental for 6,000. The next one down that is different, or add-on, is the 2,000 for the software, which is what I discussed about, the asset software. The next one down was the telephone, pager, internet. It went from 1,800 to 3,000. We have a total of 8 employees. When I came to work for the town 10 years ago, everybody had a phone, because that was how everybody was being contacted to make sure that they were able to come to work when they were needed to.
So pager?
No, phone, they were actually flip phones.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So with that being said, that's how they started. And then as iPhones came along, or smartphones, the town did not have an appetite for texting or any type of internet. So the town said, no, we're not gonna do this. We needed it for the jobs, so now I pay out of my pocket, for, the phone is on my hip 24/7, 365, along with the other guys that got them on 18 hours a day, probably 200 days a year. That's strictly off of, on their own dime. I do know that I basically explained the same thing last night to the select board, and this is one of the things they kind of put on. I was a little confused because they approved it, but there was like a, let's kind of put this on hold, this one line item. I was a little,
Well, yeah,
Right, but I think they wanna think about it,
They
but-
approved the budget as a whole, but they wanted to, take another look at that because we're paying for a cell phone for one employee because he doesn't wanna get his own phone. And they wanted to set a policy, Casey, correct? They want to get that
They
into the
wanna
personnel
consider-
policy.
yeah.
So when we do get it into the personnel policy, things might change there a little bit, but right now, I think that's all you could do is go with what you got. and-
Correct.
So what would the personnel policy be?
The personnel policy would address the fact that people are using their phones for work and pay us, usually it's a stipend.
Okay,
The most fair ones are stipends,
okay,
to town employees who do that.
okay.
which is
I thought you were
basically
gonna
what
say
we do
that
with the fire department.
in order to be employed here, you needed to have a cell phone.
Oh,
That's not true. You're on that committee.
Wasn't, it's not happening.
But I think that 3,000 is just a better reflection of what you've actually been paying.
What I've been paying.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so, and then the next one after that is $500 for printer copier.
Yeah, so that is pretty much just a swap over from the, was it?
contract.
Services.
We got lots of swap overs. Contracted services must be going down then, right?
Should be, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it did, then it went back up.
Yep.
You know, but the funny part is because, you know, I only have a black and white copier over there, and there's a lot of times I end up having to come over here just so we can print stuff in color because we need to. So Brendan went ahead and she got some information for me, and talking with the guy that we do all of our copiers with now. If I stay with the existing copier I have right now, it's gonna be $580 a month. Excuse me, a year. If I stick with what I've got. If I get the color copier, it's $500 a year. It's slower, instead of
50
50,
pages per minute,
50,
it'll be 28
28.
pages or whatever.
which doesn't hurt me one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I was just funny, it was just like, really? I'm getting what I really, really want, and it's less money? That's
So
weird.
to replace the cartridges,
Oh, yeah.
that's where.
Yeah, the cartridges will kill
Well,
the
see, that's the
electronic.
advantage.
They put it right through the
I don't
roof.
have that much that we do, to be
But you
honest
see, a
with you.
lot of those, you have to replace all three of them, you can't replace
Oh,
just
of
one.
course.
That's, so,
Do you have a
Yeah.
maintenance
The-
contract
the-
with it?
depending on what you're getting.
Yes,
Then he won't have to pay, shouldn't have to pay for that.
yeah, we
you
should,
won't.
yeah,
It's
because.
included in the contract.
Oh, is it in the
Yeah.
contract?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
okay.
that's all.
So many,
Yeah.
there's 100 color copies a month and 500 black and white a month, I think is what.
It's
is
kind of what I
the numbers were.
budgeted for based on what he's been using.
So,
So, building maintenance,
building maintenance, I went from 3 to 5.
what's included in that?
Fire alarm testing, my fuel, testing that has to be tested every year. I got requirements from DEP for testing.
Just the highway garage we're talking about?
Yeah,
Or is it
correct.
all the buildings?
No, this is just a fueling station.
Okay.
So the fueling, I'm sorry, yes.
No, it's a,
This would be just the highway garage, because otherwise everything else is underneath town office building. So I have sprinklers I have to do, I have the fire alarms I have to do by law. I have to do my fuel stations by law, both fire and, an outside service has to come in and look at my vapor recovery system, because I have a stage 2 station. And it's just it's a reporting thing I have to do every year. And the prices of these things are just starting to crawl up. I have had a couple of small little problems in the building. You know, we had a problem with the I don't wanna say transducer, because it's not a transducer. It's a frequency motor, that is one of our drives. And so it's a combination of the motor itself, it just died. And then it took the driver, which is basically a rectangular electric driver is what it is. That's what feeds it, tells it how to go up, it ramps it up and it slows it down, so it's not like a hard on, hard off. That went at the same time, and that was pretty pricey. So those are the two that hit me hard this past year, and I'm just starting to anticipate I'm gonna start having more problems down the road.
Okay.
And then other than that, everything else should be the same.
What's other expense?
Something I can't quite figure out how to put in one of these other ones.
Contingency, another contingency, basically?
For the most part, yeah.
Some miscellaneous.
It's miscellaneous stuff,
Yeah.
stuff that really doesn't fall within
Yep,
one of these categories.
that's fine, I
You know,
just,
because historically,
Like
if you really look at it,
postage or keys, if they have to make keys for something, or I'm just thinking
Right,
of
yep.
miscellaneous stuff that you've put in there in the past.
so historically, it's not a whole bunch of stuff. You know, I've been carrying 3,000 for a few years, and realistically, you know, maybe that was part of where I steal from Peter. It was Peter that I stole from to be able to get the rental for the pipe that we're putting in up in Old Lower Road last year.
well, contingency I can understand, other expense I don't.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
So, I mean, if you want, we can change, we see, I think the only problem is, I think if you put contingency, that is,
It's not gonna.
It's not, it's
Everybody
miscellaneous,
likes that.
miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah, it's more.
Yeah,
mis-
whatever.
Other miscellaneous
Other expense
contingent
I don't
expenses.
understand.
Okay, change, right, miscellaneous, you understand
Well,
that?
it's little,
Yep.
little stuff that
Then, right.
isn't gonna fit,
Yeah.
and you're not gonna have a specific line
Right.
item for, so
Right.
that's.
Okay, can we,
I'm just curious, street signs, I'm just curious what it is.
straight
street
sides.
signs?
Yeah,
Street
is it
signs.
new signs, like the
Yeah.
old signs fall apart, you
Yep.
gotta put up a new one?
Or somebody knocks them down.
Or somebody wants
always
one
the
that
favorite.
hasn't been there
So-
Yeah,
before.
yeah, and actually, there's,
Snow plows.
quite, no, actually lately, been more theft.
So,
Oh,
got
yeah?
got a question for you. Did you knock down the one on Stillwater Road, or we blame somebody else?
No, we're gonna blame somebody else now.
Okay.
And actually, that should be going back up tomorrow.
I'll make a motion to recommend this, and if you guys are ready.
I'll second it.
Highway expense, that's what we're on,
Yep.
I'll
two
sec-
fifty-three, 350?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is that unanimous?
Is that 600?
It is.
So the next budget is the very next one, 423-5400. That one's been in your books.
How are we doing with our Kevin?
We're actually not doing
Snow.
too awfully bad. I mean,
Except for you just spent
Yeah, I
a
did
bucket
spend-
load of money with
yeah,
this
for the
pay,
salt.
with this, yeah. Well, for, with all the guys that billed you from December through the
Right.
end of February.
yeah,
that
the
hit us
rental
hard.
people.
Yeah,
I'm not doing bad,
just this, with this pay, yeah.
but the long story short is I really don't want people to think that because we haven't had a whole ton of snow this year, that we haven't put out a bunch of product. We put out a ton of product. Every time it rains, it freezes, the cops are calling, we're having to go out. I mean, I've gone through probably as much salt, or if not more, than I have in the past. The only thing that has kind of helped out a little bit is because of not quite so much snow. I mean, I'm kind of diving on the sword on this one because I go both ways on this one, but if I get 3 inches of snow, I might as well get 10 inches of snow. The only difference between 3 inches and 10 inches is the day after or 2 days after when we clean the center of the village here.
Yeah, so we appropriated 90,000 for the current year.
Correct.
So we have no choice but to do at least $90,000.
Exactly,
Correct.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I think we've already spent
And I
at
don't
this point,
think we wanna
because
go
of,
anymore,
because of all
because
those that
then you
came
put-
through with
get in
this,
that box.
probably
Right.
80,000,
Right.
I bet.
Okay, all right, so then
Yeah,
I should
I'm
probably
guessing
let,
it's probably closer to 80 now.
Make a motion to approve this budget.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? It's moved and seconded. All those in favor, $90,000?
Aye. 600?
Yes.
So,
Okay, very next budget, also in your books, 424-5400, which is street lighting.
And that hasn't changed?
That hasn't
Negative.
changed. I'll make a motion to approve the street lighting, 424, 5,400 for the 37,000.
Second.
Just give me one
Sorry.
moment.
Okay, it's
Catch
been
it.
moved and seconded. Question, there was some discussion about changing the streetlights to LEDs. What was the,
That is on the capital improvement plan for next year. They're requesting $150,000 through the Energy Committee for the LED lighting.
So
and
just,
if we had the LED, what would it cost us? What would it be the
that I
annual?
can't tell you. I
We
have
Oh, I
no
would,
idea.
I would bet it would go down quite a bit.
It would-
But we
That's
don't
not
have any
right,
firm
and I don't
numbers.
want to mislead,
Okay.
it's not for FY '21, it's
No, no,
proposed for
yes,
FY
yes,
'22.
yeah.
You can
And
get that figure out of Western Mass Electric, they'll tell you how much you'll save, based upon your current loading right now. And what you're going down to, may go down from the 37,000 down to 10 to 15,000.
And who owns the license? Hasn't been
We own it
Okay,
at that
so
point.
that is the thing, just so everybody's well aware that part of that money should be, hopefully part of that money, we have to purchase back our existing lights.
Right.
Last time that I came up with a number from Eversource was like $67,000 that we would have to pay for them to take down the existing lights.
Right.
Then we would pay to put the new lights up, and then we would be responsible for
All the
maintenance.
maintenance,
Now.
that's what we had to clarify.
My general understanding as far as the maintenance is concerned, from some of the areas that I've reached out to, maintenance really isn't that bad because there are LEDs. But maintenance is something I am not gonna be able to handle.
And so the suggestion from our colleagues has been to hire a company to handle that, right?
Hire a subcontractor.
A
Subcontractor
subcontractor
to
to
just
do that.
take care of.
Just
So it's not
subcontract it out.
a quick answer, and
Right,
it's not
yeah.
a quick process, but
Right.
the Energy Committee is following up in terms of the competitive grant as well, although I don't know where the status is. They're
Right.
supposed to talk to the select board right after you guys. And I have an update on that at the end of the meeting, don't let me forget.
Okay.
So the
So we have a
motion
motion for
was,
37,000.
Yep,
Yep.
We had a second?
yep.
You all set?
yeah, there was a couple of seconds, I just didn't know who to pick.
Give him,
Okay,
Oh,
I
take
put you
your
down. Good, I already wrote you down.
Okay.
I don't want him to feel left out.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
All right, the next budget was, the last one that I handed out for Kevin's budgets. So that's a little revision from what was in your books.
Transfer station,
Yes, 433-5400.
So where did that change?
This hurts. This one hurts pretty hard.
The,
All right, so basically, I
well,
went
we've got 210-100, is that the number?
No,
No,
it's
that's the old one.
207-100.
207-100.
Right.
So where did the 3,000 come from?
Where did I?
It would
where
came
did I
from
take
the trash compactor, because we purchased our trash compactor here last month,
Okay.
Mhm.
or this month, actually.
Yep.
So
$300
that's
a
gonna
month.
reduce what we pay waste management for.
By $300 a month, roughly.
so that's $3,600.
It's actually, you know what, it's actually $350, I looked at the bill today.
Well, it's $350 because
But-
it's 300 for the compactor and
Oh.
50 for the
Got it.
container.
Got it.
So that's why we
We'd
will still be paying
the
the
50.
50 for the container itself.
Okay,
So if you start at the top, working your way down, where the differences roll into play is the first one underneath payroll, I went from
Mhm.
47 to 54. And it's a $7,000 addition for the additional hours that are happening up there. We're having to spend a little bit more time there on on Mondays. Mondays are the leftover from the weekends. I was having other people trying to do call-ins, and they weren't coming out very good, so Bud pretty much has taken the reign on this. And Bud is coming in on Mondays to make sure everything's squared away, making sure that all of the containers are where they need, as far as levels, calling them in for replacements is basically where that comes in. Along with Jim being an add-on also from last year, because he came on part year last year. So he is also part of my additional monies. The next one down that really hurts, well, trash compactor, we went from 58 to 55. That's where the $3,000 came into play. Excuse me, because of the replacement of the compactor. The next one, you go down, this is the other one that hurts pretty hard, is recycling. Recycling has gone up $8,000. That is completely and totally out of our control. What ended up happening was DEP lawyers made a deal, or shouldn't say a deal, made the contract with the MRF. Technically, they own the MRF, but they contract out the usage of it. And Waste Management is the one that has gotten the contract. So the contract between Waste Management and DEP, as far as I'm concerned, DEP sold everybody down the road, hard and long.
We disagree on this.
I am like super pissed.
You didn't say that, you're
Looking-
on TV.
I don't care at this point.
He said
You
it
know,
last night too.
It's ridiculous is what it is. I mean, there's no reason for what they did. They end up having to redo the contract originally because the way they originally had it written, and they should know better. They had to rewrite it because according to them, just sign the contract and you'll be good to go. But no, you can't sign it because it has to be done by annual town meeting. And they struck that off the last contract. So we're like, no, you can't be signed this way because it's illegal. We're not gonna sign something that's illegal. So that just tells me the guy's not paying attention to the detail, and I think he just sold us down the river. Glass, they don't want glass anymore. But they say, you know what, hey, we'll cut you a deal. You don't take glass to us anymore, we'll take you from $93.50 a ton down to $88 a ton. Right? I still gotta get rid of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what, at this point, and I don't care, give them the glass and let them ruin their equipment, because we're paying for it. Again, like I said, I'm
So that's-
very agitated with it.
So that's $90 a ton, is that $93 a ton?
$93.50 a ton is what we pay to get rid of our trash,
And,
or excuse me, get rid of our recycling.
and
Mm-hmm.
that's all the recycling or just the,
Bottles, cans,
Everything.
tin, glass, tin, and paper,
okay.
plastic. So with all of that.
But not paper.
With paper also.
With paper.
Okay, paper
So
also.
with all that being said, part of the problem is historically in the past, again, they screwed us on the contract. We used to get a little bit of money, now we get no money, zero,
And we pay.
and we pay.
Well, the caveat to that is that there are no markets to offload this. That's part of the problem. So we're ending up having to pay because this is sitting. We don't have the ability to process this in the US. And they were shipping it out to China. When China stopped taking it, there were a few other Southeast Asian countries that did take it for a while, but now they've shut their ports down. So it's sitting and it's costing people money. So there's a corresponding cost to the towns. All the towns were approached about the contract. There were delays on it because there were some language changes that Franklin County Solid Waste Management's lawyer requested. The 10-year contract, did you take that vote last year? On the contract?
I believe so, that sounds right.
I'm not sure.
So there was a request last year to take a vote to have town meeting approve the signing of a 10-year contract because that was part of the estimated time to run the MRF for a period of
Right.
whatever.
I remember a
In order to
discussion
get
of that,
the-
I'm pretty sure we
somebody
did
to
that at
run it.
town meeting.
Right, I do remember
Yeah.
that too, at least the discussion.
There were a couple
I think
times
we did
people
do
weren't
it at
paying
town
attention
meeting.
to contract language. That's not the only time but yeah. So they were preparing for it, knowing that the vendor wouldn't take over that running of the facility unless they had a guaranteed income, is really what it was.
Yep.
So unfortunately, I wish you all could have been at the presentation at the MMA conference about the recycling, because it was very enlightening. So we're about 18 to 24 months away from some of these facilities being restarted. They all shut down in the last 20 years because we were offloading to other countries. So now we have to go through an entire permitting process to bring these facilities back online.
Yep.
And they don't know what it's gonna look like once it happens, but the bigger recycling companies are hoping that then they'll be able to start moving this material.
How long is this contract for that we're stuck with right now?
10 years,
Done.
but
Yep.
but
So
what
even
you,
if they come online, we're still.
if they come online, the economics of it could change, but they're not promising anything. It means we would have recycling processing plants back in the US. And we wouldn't be, because it's not just us that are pushing to these ports, it's a lot of countries pushing to these ports. We just happen to be one of the bigger ones with recycled materials. So if we get our own facilities online, the economics of it could change. They're just not willing to tell us what that would look like because nobody knows.
So, in the budget, where is that $93 a ton figure?
Is it your
It's
tipping
about
fees?
8,000.
Yeah, basically, your recycling goes from 20,000 to 28,000, it's about an $8,000 difference, because I got a letter from Franklin County Solid Waste showing me the matrix of what it's going to be, so it will be 185.03 tons of paper, 116.62 tons of containers, total tons of 301.65 at 93.50 comes up to 28,204. And if I take out the glass, it'll be 21. But once again, I still gotta pay to get rid of the glass someplace.
Yeah.
And right now, we have no place to get rid of glass. Allegedly, Franklin County Solid Waste right now is working on, with another company,
Yeah.
to take the glass, and it's gonna go to Canada, and they're using it to make fiberglass, which would be great. A quick little going back on the other, according to Franklin County Solid Waste, none of our recycling in Franklin County ever went to China. None of our stuff has
That's
gone
what
out.
they said, but even if it didn't, it went somewhere.
Yeah, it
And I
went
think
somewhere.
the bigger companies are
right.
offloading it somewhere
So,
else.
it was just my
Sure.
little,
So I had a question on composting. I thought that they were supposed to be paying us for the composting.
Who's
They
they?
Huh?
Who's they?
Is it Martin or?
No. no, we pay to dispose of it, and then Martin gets it. I don't know if Martin pays, I don't know if Martin charges, I don't know if Martin gets it for free from Triple T, who is our trucking company.
Mhm.
Basically, that number right there is for our trucking. We originally had a it's gonna be a 2-yard dumpster, and in the beginning, it was overflowing dramatically. So that's why we doubled the size to a 4-yard. Now, I don't know if the usage of this has dropped off dramatically because of the winter time, or I don't know why, because Jim, one of the other new guys up there at the transfer station, this guy is a numbers guy. He can tell you how many people use everything. I think he's got like a little running list, and he's got a little checklist. Okay, well, I had 17 people use the brush, I used 18 people went ahead and he was like, he showed me the paper, I'm like, oh my God. It's great, cause it's great
Sure.
information.
Yep.
But yeah, it was, he says it's down dramatically. He says at least half, if not more, than what was in the beginning.
Mhm.
Now, what I'm hoping is as soon as it starts getting warmer again, it's gonna start getting better. If not, to be honest with you, I'm gonna drop it back down to a 2-yard dumpster.
Mhm.
So, or it's gonna be a 1-yard dumpster.
And if we got rid of the
Or-
dumpster, the stuff that goes into trash,
Yep. That 93, oh shit, I don't know that number off the top of my head.
So
The trash,
the stuff that's going into composting would go into trash?
correct, historically in the
if
past.
we didn't have the composting.
So, do I think that the town is gaining, more than $2,000 a year by it not going in? I can say that, but I can't show you numbers right now. But that is my general understanding. To be honest with you, if you really truly wanted to get a extremely accurate way of doing the transfer station, you'd have to kind of revamp the entire thing and do it by weight. That's what a lot of places are doing now, and the reason why I say that is because I watched somebody go ahead and take a bag, it was in a container, and it took 2 people to pick up the container to throw it in the dumpster. But it was in the bag, So it's in the bag. It could be 1,000 pounds, but it's in the bag,
Well, if they filled it up with cat litter,
which is exactly what it was.
and, just need to get bags that will break apart with more than 50 pounds in them.
Recycle them.
Get smaller bags.
I still
I
got
already
some.
got them, but they won't sell.
Well,
They're actually starting to pick up a little bit.
but if you don't
There's not,
have,
but
if
we're
you don't
starting
have
to
the
pick
big ones, you have to use the little ones.
Some of the older people like the smaller
There again,
ones.
as he said, if they carry it up there with
Actually,
a
some of the-
container
Some of the younger ones are
to
getting
hold the
them
bag from blowing
Yeah, well,
apart,
that's true
and
too,
then dump
yeah.
it.
because they don't.
And then it blows
They
apart.
generate a
That's
lot,
fine.
right.
So long as they can get it in there.
Quick stuff,
Right.
throw it.
If it blows apart in the back of their car, that's their problem.
I see dump stickers stay the same, Kevin. How about the dump bags?
Yeah, bags, I'll be honest with you, stickers and bags, I think if we attempted to try and raise anything, I think we would be hung in the center of town. We are the highest, for bags in Franklin
Right.
County. The only town that is more expensive in bags is Montague, it's $3 a bag, but they come by and they pick it up. We are at $65 for a sticker. The highest one I've been able to find locally is $28. So we're more than twice as much. So this is up to the appetite on how the town wants to deal with this for the extra charges, whether they want to do it very similar to the, originally with the wastewater treatment plant where the users pay for everything, or whether the greater good of all of the taxpayers help absorb a little bit of this. One of the issues is the reason why we are so expensive is because we're trying to make this as a true pay-as-you-throw, where we try and do a break even is what we're attempting to do. The other towns, the reason why they're so much lower is because everybody, they're subsidizing, the town's paying for it. And it all depends on what the town wants to do. You tell me and I'll make it happen, so.
I think it's good
Tell
where
somebody
it is.
wants to change it, leave it right where it is.
I mean, I think that'd be my personal opinion right now.
That's mine.
I mean, because like I said, because if we try to do anything else with that, it's gonna be ugly.
Mhm.
Kevin, you'd mentioned that we're running out of space to put brush.
Correct, brush, that was one thing, thank you, and that I was supposed to speak about last night, that I really kind of spaced it out. Yeah, I should have known better. Brush, we are, there's 351 towns in the state of Massachusetts. We are one of 11 that are allowed to have a brush dump. Our brush dump it's full. Historic in the past, basically what they do is they go ahead and they bury it, they drive it over with a dozer, and they take a little bit of material and put it over the top, and then they just continue. I mean, we could go to taller, but staying at level to where we are right now, we're about out of room. I really can't go much further in the back, which now means this past year, I spent $9,000, $9,900 for, had to have somebody come in and start doing some shredding of it. They basically come in with a tub grinder, and they shred it up so it gets smaller. I'll be honest with you, again, we're only one of 11 in the Commonwealth. If we're gonna continue to do it, my personal opinion, at some point in time, you may wanna start thinking about charging for it. You know, you can go ahead and you can take the leaves and stuff for free, because that really that's not an issue for us. We can take that, we can turn them over, we can make a composting, we can do something with that. The brush, we can't do anything with. And the thought process of having our guys go there on a weekly basis and chip is ludicrous. I would lose 2 guys,
In the
probably
equipment.
6 hours
In the equipment.
In the equipment, right.
in the equipment.
Right.
And then obviously the other problem I have with is if, as soon as you start, and this is gonna sound kinda stupid, but you run something dirty through there that's got a lot of dirt on it, it ruins the blades.
Yeah.
It's, even though it's going in and it's chewing a tree, but the dirt just makes it
Yeah.
dull so much faster.
And if you run into a nail, you're in trouble.
Oh, I run into a nail, yeah, I'm in a lot of trouble, because those blades are not cheap, you know. Chuck does a good job, we pull them, on average, we try and pull them like about every 20 hours, take them, clean them up a little bit, that way they stay nice and sharp, and they continue to do what they need to do on an efficient basis. So he's got it down to a science now where it doesn't take very long to rip them out, so. He's definitely money well spent.
Yeah, I think over the next year, it makes some sense to really take a good look at that and see what our options really are. I mean, you know, my first thought was, and I think I'd mentioned it to you, is, well, we've got a chipper, so we take the chipper up there, let's use the chipper, and then, you know, as we were talking about the problems with dirt,
Right.
metal, it's like, well, let's throw that.
Exactly.
I did like the idea of that, the grinder,
Yep.
but I'm not sure that, you know, we wanna buy a grinder,
No.
because it's expensive.
Yeah, you'd be talking, for a good decent grinder, 400,000 or 500,000.
And the
So-
first chain in the log, then you're all done with that
Right.
too.
Right,
Which
So,
happens.
yeah,
so basically, you know, I think it's, at this point, you know, we're trying to manage it as best as we can. I may be okay with this season, I may not have to bring one in this year. It's gonna be iffy, again, depending on what spring looks like. But next year, I'm probably end up having a tub grind again, which will be FY '22.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, if we've gotta do it, we've gotta do it.
Right.
I think it's better to do that than it is to try to do it ourselves.
Oh, hands down.
yeah, no question, just the maintenance of the equipment, as Kevin said, you get any type of dirt on those,
Yeah.
and it'll ruin your piece of equipment real quick.
And
Doesn't
that-
take much either.
And that piece of equipment, actually, if they went by the original, the original replacement schedule, that thing should have been replaced 4 years ago. So, but because of the condition of it, the whole 9 yards, I think we put it out like
Mhm.
another 5 years.
Yeah,
But the only thing we did end up doing at that point in time is we added a winch to it. And that right there just basically saves the guys' backs.
Yeah.
For hauling big stuff up. But yeah, I would,
But that's stuff that you're cutting it, you're controlling.
that is correct, yeah, we're taking care of it.
Now, when we have, when we hire somebody like Jim's to come in and do, he's doing his own grinding and.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, when they show up, basically when we work with gyms, it's a tree cutter and one laborer from them, and then we supply one person to go along with them to help throw in the chips and stuff, because it's cheaper for us to go ahead and throw a body in than it is for gyms to throw in another body, because it's 2.5, almost 3 times as much money for them to supply than it is for us to supply. And basically, I send Jay out with them, because Jay's tree work. So that way he's observing everything that's going on at the same time, and he can make his recommendations or whatever he needs to do. But yeah, that's what they end up doing. So, and they're gonna be pretty busy here pretty quick, because we've got a ton of trees that are coming down.
anybody else have any questions on the,
Nope.
have a motion?
So move.
So, second,
We have a motion and a second, transfer station at $207,100, is that correct?
Yes.
20700.
Pardon?
Yes.
All those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Unanimous?
Last one, that we're gonna go over tonight of Kevin's is, the next one in your book, which is, test well monitoring. That's 439-5800.
What's
I'll
the
make a
number?
motion to move forward 39,500 for $50,000.
Second.
And that's, so, we've had that 50,000 figure for 3 years now, or 2 years now?
Yeah, 2
Is
years
that-
was 70, it's gone down
Yeah.
a little bit. This past year, I spent, well, so far this year, I've spent 22,000. I know I've got more. Last year, we had the problem where we ended up having to drill an extra well.
Mm-hmm, yep.
Which is where some of our extra monies came into
Right.
play. If we stay at just taking care of the testing and the reporting, next year I could possibly drop it maybe 8,000.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, I like to keep that little bit of contingency in there in case I got another well problem. Wells on average are anywhere between 3,000 and 5,000, depending on the depths. So,
Cheaper than buying water.
true.
the account number in the financials is 439-5400?
5,800.
No, it's 5,400 on here.
Oh, is it? Okay, hey, that's a
Yeah.
good catch.
Not that it matters, but it's an FYI.
All right, thank you.
Which one's correct?
Well, the accounts, whatever he's got, the
There
four
should be,
thirty-seven.
there should be
5400.
5,400.
I'll
430,
change, I'll
430.
change it on our budget sheets.
I'll put 5,400 on the minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good.
All right, any questions on these? Motion,
We get the motion, got a second, got a
Motion,
vote.
Ben second.
seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Kevin's done already, in less than an hour? Why
We done? Wow.
does it take you 2 hours with the selectmen?
It didn't.
He says the former
Careful, it's being
selectman.
taped. Being taped.
See, we understand finance.
And there are only 3 of them, so there are 7 of us,
Um,
6 tonight.
Obviously, at some point in time, I still gotta go through sewer, but things are still kind of up in the air in a couple of them.
We have to
Yeah.
schedule a meeting with the select board to go over that one, it's pretty significant.
You have the payroll, portion of it in your books, and that shouldn't change. But, the expenditures, there's some things to decide yet,
Right.
yes.
Because we have to think about, what's the word you use?
The debt service.
Debt services.
Mhm.
The debt service, that's going to be, we need to do a debt exclusion on that. And,
I thought we already did one.
We
No,
did
we-
on-
no.
Which day are we talking about?
On the 19 million, but not
Yes.
the 1 million.
the 1 million,
Oh.
we
I thought
did
we
not
did.
do a debt exclusion on that. The 1 million, we did not.
thought
So
we
I don't know
did.
how the hell the select can expect to pay for that.
It's gonna be hard.
Well,
They're good, they'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
And if they make a mistake, they can blame it on the finance committee.
Well, I know where there's-
75% of that goes to the sewer users, right?
It's 250,000 is the town share.
Is the town share, right?
Well, you can pay it off over 3 or 4 years and then.
Well, I
pay
know,
it
but
off
the
at a
the interest on it,
smaller
you figure,
amount.
just call it 4% a year, and it's $10,000. And if we did it over 10 years, it's 25,000, so it's $35,000. It's not a lot.
They didn't wanna go to the town for
But-
2, that's the way I remember it, maybe I'm wrong, but they didn't wanna, they thought they'd go to the town for the bigger amount and not worry about the million because, especially because wastewater treatment has a high amount of retained earnings that they could use towards their portion of it. I'm sure the town portion of it, they weren't thinking about too much
Right.
So we had that discussion with them, and
comparatively.
they were concerned about it going down the tubes. So, it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
so maybe they'd like to do a 2.5 override to pay for it.
Do you feel the
Okay.
heavy, do you feel the heavy brows?
No, I don't.
Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Like I said, at some point in time, we'll split up the other 2 to go through, but,
Look at that, less than 1 hour.
yeah, I'm ecstatically happy because my plane leaves at 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, so I gotta be up by 3.
Well,
So
good
run
luck.
away.
I got some family stuff.
Family emergency.
Oh, not a fire.
No, I wish.
Yeah.
No, this one sucks, so.
Okay,
Okay.
Well, good luck,
Good luck.
guys.
thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
And next year, we'll try to do it in January instead of,
Sure.
Every year we get a little better.
I think so.
well, you were ready in January anyways.
I'll
tried to be.
see when we voted his last year. It's it'll come,
What did you maintain?
right?
What's in they maintain? Sounds like something's ready to blow up.
Yes.
Little feedback there through the speaker system.
Good.
Okay. We had
Leave it
feedback
out there.
Is there
yesterday,
another
too.
meeting out there?
Yeah, that's why we're in here.
I thought we were making all the noise.
Was there feedback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So make sure the
That's it.
vote was gonna go up.
Yeah, see ya.
Take care.
All right, thank you. Have a safe trip. What's next? Motion to adjourn?
No, we have
Trevor should be here.
a senior center budget.
Is that one that was handed out tonight, or has that been in there?
It was
think
handed
that
out
was
in the
tonight.
box.
It was
I
handed out
think it
tonight.
was handed out tonight. The
Yeah.
select board went through it with Christina last night.
Do we
Trevor's
have the
gonna come
number
in.
on
He
that?
may be running a couple minutes late.
541-5420.
Yeah, and then there's a grant, and,
There's two grants.
so
with
we
senior.
just need an explanation on that, so.
Yeah, so if you wanna look at the senior center budget,
There he
I
is.
think there he is, there's the man of the hour.
The hot seat is right next to Bruce St. Peter.
Too soon.
Have fun.
We just
emptied this hot seat, so it's still warm.
Yeah.
Well, you let them go in less than an hour, so it should be less than 10 minutes.
If you had your way, it would be, wouldn't it? That's right.
Is there any chair that you could sit in that?
Where you can
Would-
see me?
No, no,
Those
what,
for you
I was
for
thinking,
your
what do you do at home? Lay
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
on the
Oh.
floor?
No, I sit more flat, so my back doesn't hurt.
Well,
That's
it's
why I
not-
stand most of the
Is there
time.
another, well, is there another chair in here
What
that
we on?
Not
you
really.
could use that?
If it gets bad, I will stand up. It's just hard to
Yeah.
type when you're standing up without
I
a
know,
desk.
I know.
I'll be right back, I just wanna make sure Trevor got it.
I handed those out to you tonight.
Okay, that's what I can find.
So, well, Trevor's here, don't know that he has the answer, but, Frontier Capital is, not sure where that one is. So, let's make sure we ask that question anyways.
I just want to say, one thing that came up last night when I was going through Kevin's budgets was phone use.
Was what?
Phones.
We discussed this.
Yeah,
You did already.
We
Okay.
did discuss that already.
But not a whole lot. We knew that you were going to look into a policy.
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's right that a superintendent, town administrator, certain people are. I'm constantly on the phone with our town administrator, texting, calling on the phone. Well, you haven't experienced fully yet.
Not yet.
But, calling Kevin after hours, we're expecting Kevin to be on the phone constantly, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize he gets no stipend at all for a phone. And I'm not saying everybody in the town gets a phone, I just think there's certain key people that really should have access to a cell phone, and we're required them to have, Kevin's on call 24/7.
here.
I think Chief has a phone, there's a couple police that use their, they have a budget, I think, for phones, but
Oh, yeah, there you go.
and I don't know what that dollar amount is yet, like at my work personally, we get about 40 or 60 bucks a month, and that doesn't cover the phone at all, but it's a stipend to cover some of it, because it's a personal phone, it's hard to have two phones nowadays, and so I just, I had noticed, I'd come across that $3,000 budget, and I was understanding that was just one person's phone for a year?
There's
or
one phone
maybe-
plus the pagers, they've got, their internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
okay,
that-
so
that's
there's
all
other stuff.
included in
It's
that.
basically telephone, it's all
And
the
it's basically
telephone.
reflecting what they've really been paying. He never has changed that in the budget, so
Right.
now he's just bringing.
So that
it
is
forward.
something, yeah, we talked about it.
You did,
Basically,
okay.
you're gonna have to do something about it.
Yeah, we'll find something to do,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, it's not everybody, I just think the
Yeah.
core people,
We should do
And I'm not sure what the police department does, maybe we ought to take a look there as the,
yeah, maybe there's
And there's
ways.
packages out there with different
Exactly.
vendors that you can add lines to.
That's what I was
for-
thinking.
For next to
Right, 10 bucks a
nothing,
line or
right,
something
right,
like
or
that,
something of
just
that
data.
nature, right.
The
Perfect.
police department, we pay for theirs.
They have, the way it used to be, and I would have to clarify this with John tomorrow. They used to have 3 phones, or phones assigned to each of the vehicles.
Yeah,
Okay.
depending on the shift, you grab the phone.
Depending on the shift, so there was always a mobile phone in the shift vehicles.
Okay.
But I would have to check and
'Cause
see
they
what that
pay-
looks like.
Maybe 300 and
Yeah.
something a month for
So-
theirs.
say that fast, 2 or 3 times. Shift.
And I hear what you're saying as far as a personal phone and a work phone.
right?
It did, I just wanted to see if you can say it fast.
But I don't think the town should
We
pick
don't wanna
up
have
the
a
total
separate phone
cost.
per
Correct.
vehicle.
Correct.
Correct,
Right,
oh,
yeah.
absolutely not.
Not
Yeah,
with
I mean,
25
there's-
vehicles out there.
The fire
Yeah, no,
district
we're not
pays
talking that. I'm just
them
thinking like
$50
the-
a month for
I
their
know.
Simple
vehicle. I think
stipend.
that's
right.
Yeah.
That's how
Get your
it
own
used to
Get your own phone, here's a, that's what we do at work.
Right, just
It doesn't
simply
cover
Rather than
everything.
a
people having 2
stipend,
phones.
right, a stipend,
Yeah, and just,
Right.
just so it's not really expensive, just, we cover some of that since we're expecting them to answer the phone.
Most
when we
towns
call.
do it as a stipend, because
Yeah.
it's more simple.
Yeah,
And like you say, it doesn't have to be for everybody.
no, absolutely
It
not,
can be
it
for
has to
just
be a policy
critical
we should talk
personnel.
about critical
Right.
personnel and critical shift kind of thing, so, that was it, really, but, sorry.
Okay.
Anybody wanna ask any questions on anything?
Yeah, we wanted,
I've got senior
So we're
center.
looking
Senior
at
center budget.
541-5420. That was, I handed that out into your boxes this afternoon. So you've got that with the two grant funds
funds.
that kind
Yep.
of give you the whole picture.
Right, it gets a
With
little
senior center.
confusing because it's split up a little bit. And we did, as everyone remembers, we adjusted the way we budgeted a couple years back, and mainly a year ago, really, was to take the appropriation from the town and pay for our critical staff of really the director. That's where a lot of the appropriation from the town went to pay for her position or his position, whoever's running the thing, and then take the grant money that we get from the state and fund programs with that. So so if we have a short, if we get shorted from the state, we weren't shorting our budget to the personnel, critical personnel, we were having to cut some programs here or there. So, the change in salary for the director is the Boo felt, she's really kind of come into that position and wants to do more and wants to get out to the other towns a little bit too, and trying to drum up more people to get there and do programs in other areas. So she's there probably 55 hours a week, but, we've been funding 36 hours when we thought it was time to get to 40.
And I think she also does some of the outreach because her outreach coordinator can only work 12 hours a week.
Exactly.
That's all we have a budget
It's
for.
not enough,
And
but-
so they felt that the outreach really required more, right?
Mhm.
Isn't it?
Yes, that's
Okay.
exactly right, yep. So, so she was at 36, and we wanted to bring her to 40. And then, and with that, obviously, some of the retirement and stuff went up because of the extra hours and then steps and that kind of thing. When you get the postage and stuff, there's only like $100 on the general fund. Most of the postage is over on the formula fund grant, and then there's like nothing. The outreach is really simple. The SIG grant, we have $10,471, and that's really a direct grant to.
That's your
Yeah,
last,
Russ.
your last one, the
Yeah.
last fund.
Right, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
and that one, and then there's some outreach programming that we pay out of that grant, but that's really it. We did, get notified that our SIG grant, we did get funded again this year, cause you never know if it's gonna come back, and Emmett,
Yeah.
Emmett did say that Emmett runs the state kind of, stuff for the seniors, and he did give us the grant money again. The only nervousness is that of course, it's budget season, and they're maybe be cutting how much your seniors get. We get about $12 a senior in town now, and they're looking at maybe $11.50 or cutting back on that. So we
Cutting
weren't
back on the formula fund?
on the formula fund,
Oh,
yes. 'Cause-
that's what
and-
they're looking at cutting.
Right, the SIG grant, I think, is gonna be there, but she was afraid, to actually put I think it's a higher dollar amount that we're getting for a SIG grant, but she
It
didn't wanna
is.
budget it.
Right,
Because she was
because she's
afraid
afraid
she's
they're
gonna
gonna
get
take
cut.
some of the money away, yes.
Right, so we may have to move some of that from the formula fund to
Got
cover
it. Yes.
that down the road, but, so that's a pretty straightforward. She goes out and brings services to seniors who can't get to our senior center. And very limited hours, but does what she can and does a really good job, and the seniors like her a lot, so, so you've got the main kind of general fund, and then the formula is kind of whatever we slide over to that fund from general. And the big change, really, one of the glaring changes is the $5,500 for transportation. That's what really makes our budget jump a lot, and that has to do, the Boo got together, the biggest problem we're having is transportation. We have no transportation, and each year we've been asking, like, how do we solve this? How do we get rides for seniors to places, or how can they take trips? And seniors do pay in if they're gonna go to see a show in Springfield or something and take a bus. There's some money that we put forward at maybe out of the gift fund or whatever, and then they have to buy a ticket.
Right, there's a normal
Polish
fee for them.
Club gives
Yeah,
money
Polish
towards
Club,
that
yeah,
sometimes.
so there's
Yeah.
different ways that we fund that, but we really wanted to do, Tom and Jonathan and I were talking like, well, how do we get more trips a year, like, how do we do more of this? And so they were calling around and they found, checking with Travel Cuz and different people, they found like if you're gonna do 3 or 4 trips a year, it's like $5,500. And so we're like, okay, we'll put that into the budget. But then I was talking with Diane Cornwall, who did a lot of the helping with the structuring of the grants and stuff and the funding and helping Christina get off the ground. And she said, you know, up in Berniston, Berniston and Northfield are together on that senior center. They budget about $55,000 a year for one full-time driver and a couple part-time drivers. But they've negotiated with the FRTA and they get all of that back at the end of the year. It's reimbursement. So they do all of their dispatching and everything. And we, you know, we need a driver and we need a bus. We're a big enough area, we're serving 3 towns. So she said using this $5,500 instead of, you know, blowing it on 3-4 trips, use that to negotiate with the FRTA. Say, look, I can bring a little money to the pot here. You give us a bus, let's get a driver and find out a way, you know, we don't have it in the budget this year, but there might be a way to next year plan to put $35,000 in for a driver next year, knowing that we're gonna get it reimbursed. I don't wanna go ahead and put that into a budget and be stuck and not getting the money back.
Well, and
So
we pay for FRTA.
we do,
Through our cherry sheet, so we're
Yeah.
paying $3,100 a month
yes.
for that, so I
And we're not
understand that
really
they should
getting
be, we should be contacting them and using them for
Yes.
some of this stuff,
Right, there's a
but-
couple of ways you do transportation. What I'm learning is you would do trips, like, and you would call FRTA, and then because Sunderland has to use PVTA, they have to get 2 different buses to go to a trip. So that's one trip. The other thing that I'm really interested in is getting seniors that are stuck at home and can't get to our senior center for services, and also those seniors to doctor's appointments or shopping or whatever that might be. You know, seniors are really getting stuck in their house. There is no way to get them to services. So we want to find a way to crack this nut. And so we thought we would try with this money as seed money in the budget this year to negotiate with those 2. We're working on Senator Comerford, Natalie Blaze, maybe if you were in Sunderland, we talked about this regionally. How do we break down the wall between FRTA and PVTA and try to figure this out?
What I can't figure out is why did someone go with the other one instead of Udars?
I think the only reason is because
It's always been that
it's
way,
the
but why, I don't
Amherst.
know.
I think it's because
They
they're
have so
going to
many
UMass all the
students,
time.
yeah.
They got all those kids, but they
That's
don't
right,
have
I
any
think
travel up to GCC. So
Right.
Tom's been talking with the president at GCC to weigh on these 2 and using Senator Comerford to weigh on these 2 and find out a way to get it done. I mean, I said, well, look, you're gonna go on a trip, get 2 buses, and 15 people will be in the Deerfield Whately bus, and 3 people will be in the Sunderland bus, and see how much, you know,
Right, yeah.
show how stupid that is. They could just,
Mhm.
for the
Now,
cost of
do
3
we also,
people.
we
ship
get
it over.
PVTA comes in here to Deerfield, don't they?
No,
Not anymore?
I guess not.
they may drive through, but they don't.
I mean, they used to stop
have a
and pick up kids that would go to UMass.
So maybe, I don't
They
know.
used to have a
They
stop.
do.
FRTA goes to Amherst,
FRTA does.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but they
So-
won't pick up some.
But they won't, yeah, so
Right,
that's
Which is
just
so freaking
crazy.
stupid, it's pathetic.
I don't know why, for some reason, they went with Hampshire County instead of Franklin County.
I see.
Why, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
It's
you know,
always been that way that I can remember.
You have-
John,
yeah.
if you remember right, all the years we did electrical work, Sunderland was always with Hadley in Hampshire County
Yeah.
for any electrical stuff,
For
that
inspections
dealing with
and
Western,
stuff?
no, Western Mass.
Oh,
Okay, with the utility company, and every other town
Oh.
around here was Franklin County. Why, I don't know, but I don't know. Is Sunderland officially Franklin County, or is it?
yeah.
Yes,
Franklin County,
yeah.
Because
They're
they were
open.
split that way too.
They're open to looking, you know, maybe if everybody says glaringly, Sunderland, look, you gotta move, or
Well, there's
PVTA.
Well, the question is, why would they be, I think they must have voted like they did with Tri-Town Beach.
Mhm.
That it came to a point, they gotta say yay or nay, go one way or the other.
Yeah.
I think they voted to go with the other way. The question is, what do they have to do to change back?
Right.
To go with Franklin County.
Right.
Which would simplify our thing with the seniors.
It would make a big difference there, and I think it would get the kids up to, you know.
Or is it some type of a policy between the 2 bus companies as far as area, of
Yep.
what area
Right.
they can cover and what they're
Yeah.
responsible
Probably
for.
goes all the way to the state and federal
Right,
level.
It
that's,
is.
that's what I'm
Grants and so
wondering.
And the
forth.
money and the
What they-
fiefdom
what they-
there is just really like,
Right.
it's all about
It just
money
doesn't
and
make
power.
sense, right,
So we're trying to
exactly.
break that down, and we thought we would use this.
That
this
might be a
money
good
to-
place to start, just to find out between those two.
Right.
What's the policy? Are you restricted
Right.
area-wise? You know,
Right.
there's gotta be something there.
And,
It just doesn't make sense.
Bob Decker is our rep to FRTA, and I've been talking with him a bit. I really want to sit with him, let him, really tell him what we want for our senior. I'm just starting Whately and Sunderland first, Whately and Deerfield first, because let's get that ball rolling. Let's solve some of these issues, and then Sunderland can see and then buy in. I think they need to come to the table, or we need to work on them. So I'm gonna work with Bob Decker, and then go up and see Tina, FRTA, with Bob, and say, this is really what we want, and try and negotiate some way around it, and bringing Senator and the rep with us, and just put the pressure on them. Find a way to get those two to work together, and not hold Sunderland and our seniors hostage to it. So, so that was a big chunk of money in this budget, and
So let me just make
Yep.
sure that I'm clear on this. The Senior Center Fund 291,
yes,
those are grant funds.
that's the $12 a head, yes.
Okay,
Yep, and so we fund most of the programs and stuff out of that, as
and
much
that's
as we
what
can.
the,
and
that's what
share
the
that.
seniors pay?
What's that?
Is that what the seniors pay to join the group, or
No.
what is that?
The
It's free.
formula fund is given to us by the state, and
Grant
actually,
from the state.
Deerfield gets, like 15,000, and then Whately gets 6,000, and Sunderland gets a certain
X
amount, and
amount
then
of
I bill
dollars
Whately
per-
and Sunderland for their
Okay.
share, and then it
Yep.
comes in here.
All right.
They all, we bill them their amount.
So they
turn
get
it
like
kind of
$12,
over.
they get $12 for you, and
Yeah.
$12 for Bruce,
Yeah.
$12 for me,
Right.
$12 for John. You're too young.
I'm underage.
Young whippers.
So, and next year, you and I
And
can
you don't
go,
even use it.
you and I can get $15 then.
Right. So,
It's the same with the SIG grant?
yeah, SIG grant is really just a
Just for
completely
outreach.
separate outreach grant that we got, several years back, and it's usually a 3-year grant program, and we weren't sure we were gonna get it last year or this year. You just never know year to year whether you're
Mhm.
going to, and we have been told that we will have it this year.
Yeah.
I think Emmett, who implements a lot of this stuff, is liking the work that, we're reconstituted the COA, Council on Aging's, they're getting together, he's seeing more collaboration and regional relation work, and then a lot of the more data is getting to him that we weren't giving before.
I think Christina's doing a pretty
She
good job of
has.
reporting to him, and I think
Yeah.
he's happy with that.
Yes, and Diana helped a ton with that, because she had a good, Diane Cornwall had a good relationship with Emmett over the years, and she helped us kind of get on the right foot there.
Yes, yeah.
So, so what, for the senior center in total, town of Deerfield will need 40, according to this, need 47,000.
That's right,
Okay.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
right.
that's right.
So that's what you're voting, is that?
John just made the motion, I seconded it.
Yeah, I got some questions.
Okay, shoot, what you got?
The financials through January is, we spent 75% of the appropriated 38,416.
Yep, they're having a hard time.
So we're gonna go, for fiscal year 2020, are we gonna go over
I
the
hope not.
appropriation?
I mean,
If we do,
We're heading
we'll
in that
need a,
direction, huh?
we'll
Yeah.
need a warrant article for it, if we do, and we'll have to have Whately and Sunderland do their.
Right.
So is that
Hoping not.
reflected,
Do
is
you-
that reflected in the budget for 2021?
No, well, we have been looking at, we have been increasing the amounts for, like, gas went down a little bit, electricity went up. We went up on janitorial services because we found we were a little under on that. We are looking for a different way to do janitorial work. We talked last night about maybe is there a place for a town janitor to do this building, that building. Rick only goes over there once a week on a Thursday and spends maybe an hour. And so, they serve food every day there. So the seniors are cleaning up a lot, but it's, the trash stinks, and it's, they're taking the trash. You're not getting a lot for the $3,000, and $3,000 is a lot of money. So, we're trying to find a way to do a better job.
Why are
with
we, and why, I guess, are there any particularly big areas where we're going over
Well,
budget?
the sewer was quite a bit more
Yeah.
than, because they put in a new meter, and the new meter is apparently registering, more properly, and so
So that's
that went
400
up.
bucks.
That's only
um,
$400 though. I mean, we're heading to be thousands
They-
over.
Well, no, I think it depends on what we spend too, so there's a gift fund account too, so depending on, I don't know the total breakdown of what's way over this year versus.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it that close.
I can
She
look-
looks at it monthly.
Yeah, I could look a little bit further and see what actual line items are getting close to being, spent down and, or risk of doing it. Sometimes
I'm just
you
concerned that we're gonna, if we're gonna need a special article to fund 2020, I'd just like to
Does-
know that we're not gonna have to do it for
Yeah.
Does
2021.
this happen every
If
year?
you take a look
No,
at
well,
2019,
we did.
we
add-
spent $10,000 more than we
Yeah.
budgeted.
Here we
Yes,
go.
we asked,
Right.
well, we asked for, right, because at that time, that was the whole time we reshuffled the whole way we set up the money, and, the last director was woefully under
Yeah.
doing the budgeting. She just didn't know how to budget, and so she would put $250 when the actual line was, $1,000. So we had asked, and the towns, wonderfully granted the senior center like $20,000 last year to kind of get there was no money budgeted for insurance. Our director needed insurance, so that was a big chunk of money. So we corrected a lot of that, so I'm surprised that we're getting that close to, being over. We'll look at that a little
Yeah.
closer. I don't think we're
Sometime-
gonna run out of trouble.
Sometimes there's expenses that are front-loaded in a year, so I guess
They
what
are
I'm wondering is,
sometimes.
what does that look like, the expenditures year to year, and are there patterns?
I could get a better answer on that.
'Cause
We
maybe it
could
would
dig
be-
if that a little bit. If you wanna come back to it, I can come back to it
If
and
it's
tell
an
you where
anomaly,
we're
I
at.
agree, but if it's, just the pattern of spending,
Right.
it's not a big deal.
We kinda felt like we gathered quite a bit of that, and then with this budget this year, we really felt like this was, we would love to have a lot more money for our seniors and do a lot more stuff, but this was really gonna cover what we needed.
And we're not gonna have any problem with Sunderland or Whately. They're in agreement
I
with
think,
the,
yeah, I know John is right behind it, and Tom too. They feel
Okay.
pretty comfortable. There was no complaint. They really just wanted, to solve this transportation thing and wanted a good story on how to figure out how to do that. So we're trying to figure that out.
Well, and I think this budget could be higher, but Kevin has agreed to do snow removal
Yeah.
Right.
and,
We pulled that
lawn
out.
mowing and stuff, so that's
Yes.
why that's been taken out of the budget
Mhm.
completely, because
So-
I think that's ending up being a lot more than what we've budgeted even.
So then we're gonna do that, we're gonna do it, Sunderland and Whately will get a free ride on that stuff.
They will, yes.
Yeah, we figure it's our town building. We
It
need
is a
to-
town building and town property.
So this 47,
so we should rent it.
But we
this
did go up.
47 is Deerfield's parcel?
Yeah, Deerfield's
We
part
do
of it,
Going
yeah.
back to
It's
what
free.
John said, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
is, just the three big items, you've added on $15,000 there, but yet your net increase is only 9.
And that might be because of the cutting out the maintenance.
That-
So I speak-
That's only $1,600.
I was gonna say, we
No,
paid,
there
we
was
paid
some other
50%.
And then, what
Of
was
the
the other
budget.
thing that we had?
There's $1,380 last year
Hold
for
on there.
snow removal.
Right.
But that was just 3 items, that doesn't include some of these other ones that you did increase. And you still have a $15,000 increase, but yet you're only asking for a $9,000 increase on the
Well,
budget.
no.
So-
Well,
There's a
are you
16
keeping in mind that we're
50%.
only paying 50%?
Well, you said the 47 was Deerfield's portion.
Yes.
Right,
Right.
which is 50% of the total budget.
So, right,
Right.
so
So
it would
this is
be,
Deerfield's-
it'd be 16,000 total, right, or whatever, 17,000.
Yeah,
It
so
was
this
an
whole- this whole
18,000.
column is Deerfield's.
No,
That whole
no,
column
no.
is the
No.
entire
Oh, okay.
budget.
That's the
No, the
whole
entire
budget
budget
for
plus
okay.
these
down.
other,
Down to
yeah.
down to this total, and then you have it broken out, Sunderland,
Okay.
Whately, and
Okay.
Deerfield.
Yeah.
Half is
Okay.
Deerfield.
The other thing I was gonna say, we did go up, I got beat up a little bit on, but I said, look, this is where we're at, and I think with your help is the, indirect costs.
Yeah.
And Brenda put in a lot of work to kind of load a lot more into that this year, and they're, why are we paying for this? We don't use a
Well,
lawyer,
it
that kind of
also,
thing.
it also includes, OPEB.
Yeah, so we started, just trying to get more stuff into those indirect costs, because they need to be covered by all the towns, and they, they complained a bit, but they got over it, so it is what it
Where?
is.
I don't see indirect costs on here.
It's the administrative overhead.
Yeah.
It's up there right below the employee benefits.
Oh, yeah,
right
okay,
there.
got it,
Yeah.
okay,
56
got
So
it,
that,
yeah.
yeah, we went up about
Okay, so-
$1,800, well, more, about 1,600.
$1,600, yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody all set with this? Just wanted to-
I'm not comfortable with it.
No, I'm still having an issue going back up to that other figure. Your last year's budget was almost 77,000. And there again, your big ticket items, you've added on $15,000 more, and you're still only asking for 90, almost 95 this year. So which means you've added all those on and.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not
No,
sure I understand what
Deerfield's
you're
only,
talking about.
Deerfield's only 50% of the total.
Right, I understand that, but.
So if you take the 76,000 from
But
last
it
year
basically,
for this year to 95,000.
Yeah, that's
Well, it's
$18,000 increase.
$18,000, and 9,000 of it's the town of
Is
Deerfield.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
That's what you're looking at.
Mhm.
right.
and,
It's half of the
5,000
increase.
is the transportation,
Half of the
and,
increase.
about that,
Do we all agree though, or just kind of consensus here, that our senior center definitely needs some TLC?
Oh, yeah.
and
I'm
some
not
support?
arguing this,
No,
I'm
right.
arguing as to whether it might be a little underfunded.
oh,
Right, well,
yeah.
that's
what-
that's-
We were all.
To be
nervous
honest
of
with you,
that,
I
too.
was concerned about that
That's
too.
what I'm concerned.
Is this gonna be enough?
Oh, but
So-
keep in mind, you have two grants that are
Right.
supporting the senior center
Supported.
as
Right.
well.
Right.
And then they have a gift fund that they use,
And they
money
haven't-
out of as well.
They
It's not
really
not a
haven't
lot,
been
but-
spending much out of that. I don't know
No, they
what's in
haven't, it's
that.
been building
No,
up, it's
the
about
last
9,000
director-
right now, I think.
The last director did spend that a lot, which hid a lot of these problems.
Right.
And now we told her, do not spend out of it until you have like the rent the tent for the big summer party they do and that kind of thing. That's a place to pull some of that money out of and listen to, the directions of the seniors who gave that money, and what their wants were, and use it for, exercise program or something to bring the arts to them or something like that that's, not just to fund, maintenance and plowing and that kind of thing. We don't wanna see that, so.
When you look at this and with an explanation of that this budget will have to be revisited next year
Yeah.
after doing some background
Yeah.
check and
Yeah.
added more information, myself personally, I think that it's at least a good transitional budget to get us to next year.
So make a motion.
Kinda to where we wanna be.
Move
So
it.
I will move them, right, okay, I'll second it. If
You moved
Bruce
it?
move it, yeah, and I'll second it.
The amount of $47,341.
I was trying to second it before and give John credit, but he wouldn't.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a
Do
second.
you have a question? Do you have-
Yeah, I am against it. We're going over budget for 2020 and you're sitting here, we don't know why. We don't know the details
I
of
don't know-
why.
I don't know
And
the
yet we're
way-
going to
We're going
approve it.
over.
So, John,
Well, it's heading
keep
that way.
keep in mind, John, there are some expenditures that you do at the very beginning of the year, like MCOA is paid at the beginning of the year and other things. So the 75% really means nothing at this point?
But that's small potatoes, Brenda. It's $250.
Yeah.
The stuff that might be front-loaded, which, is a valid question. You look down these items, I can't see a whole lot of money in stuff that might be front-loaded.
Go ahead, Casey.
Do you still offset the budget at the end of the fiscal year for certain things using the special funds? Like the grant fund, do you still do an offset at the end of the year? In other words, do you transfer funds into the account like you used to?
No.
No,
Are
I'm
you
not sure, I
splitting
don't remember ever
everything?
doing that.
Are you splitting everything out of each grant? Or are you
Yes.
putting?
Yes.
So you're splitting everything? It isn't coming out of one account and then,
No,
Right.
no, it's all where she wants it to be.
Yeah.
It's all as she's budgeted it.
What they used to do was they used to take the funds before, they use up all of Deerfield's money first.
yep,
Right.
and
Then
then
they use up
transfer
Sunlight
in.
second,
That's what I
And
just
then they
wanted
use
to
Whately
know.
last.
Yeah.
And the reason they
That's
do
what they
that
used to do.
is because the director was from Whately.
Yeah.
Huh,
That isn't happening.
No,
That
they
was
used
years
to do
ago.
that.
No.
But that's usually what they do.
But I do suspect that if she's getting into a position where she might be overspending, she'll take some out of the gift fund.
Yeah, and I
She'll
think
have
she
to
will.
unless
So that's
we-
what I'm trying to draw your attention to, John, is there may be an offset that comes in.
And I think we can, I'll have some more.
And if
talk
she
with her
gets,
before
she
we're done.
might get more for the SIG fund than what she's budgeted, because we just got that signed. And they're saying they're gonna give us 11,000 for fiscal 20. So if that's 11,700, so if that's the case, she'll be able to move some money into there. So I still think we're okay.
I would like to go, well, I'd like.
I see what
to
you're
go
saying,
forward, But
yeah.
then, I will have these questions, I think before annual town meeting, or well before that, if I can come back to you and say, look, this is kind of where that's coming from, and I'll try to get more background information on that. I don't wanna ask for more, I'd love to ask for more money, but we can't afford it. so-
Are you saying that there will be grant money?
Well, you have
Yes.
both the formula grant and the SIG grant, and
And the next
according to
two
the grant that just got signed for the SIG, we're gonna be getting more than what she budgeted for fiscal 20.
She didn't budget anything.
Well, she budgeted 9870
Page three.
on your page 3.
I've got, we've got 2 other sheets.
Yeah, they're broken out now, so
Page
as to
3
make
here.
it more
I
clear.
missed the page three.
So that's the SIG grant, and then the next page before that is all the money that we get for the other one, so,
This one?
Formula grant.
the formula grant.
So the formula grants, that we've already collected the formula grant for this year, so
Right.
that's definitely 27,252, so that won't change.
Okay.
But I could go back and look at the details too and see if there's something that sticks out at me, and I.
So I was gonna say, could you just come back with or somebody,
Mhm.
with a report at the next finance committee meeting, and give us an update on what it looks like
Yep.
going
What
forward?
she's scared of, what
Yeah,
what looks like
yeah.
we're overspending or that kind of thing that we can't cover,
Yeah.
might be an issue. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, since they made the motion and seconded it, I'm ready to vote. So can we move the question?
Go ahead, vote.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll move on.
Okay, so that's one.
Motion didn't die.
That's one.
All those, are we ready? And then we'll come back and look at
And we
this.
can revisit it.
Yeah,
Right,
I
we
agree,
can vote it
you
and
know.
then come back and
It's,
revisit it if need be.
I agree it's a problem, and but
It's a
we're
problem
not
for
gonna
this
solve,
year.
we're not gonna
voting on
solve
next
it.
year's
We're not
budget.
gonna
Right,
solve it
that's the thing,
tonight.
you're looking at
Let's
next
get us-
year's budget.
So let's take.
Yeah, let's get a
finish one thing,
solution
then
for
we'll
the
do
thing,
another.
okay? So, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. So it's 5-1-0? Okay.
I'm worried
Okay.
that everybody's gonna think I was the opposition.
You were. We're gonna tell everybody.
Because
It's,
it's the
it's
senior
just all the,
center.
Right.
all these young people that we have in the committee that are opposing these.
It looks
Poor
bad, bad
seniors.
optics.
Okay, what else do we have?
John.
Town building maintenance.
We already did that.
Oh, yeah, we did all, we did all.
already did that.
Kevin's.
all
The general highway, okay.
Yeah, all of Kevin's stuff.
You're off the hook easy.
Well,
So-
no, you're not off the, you're not off the hook.
For that.
Yeah,
We've got several items that are sitting out there too, that need to be
Yes.
addressed. And guess what? Surprisingly, they're all select board items.
select
I
board staff
buy that
salaries.
at all.
Select board staff salary, legal expense,
Yep.
Right, yeah, right, you were
We're
gonna
getting
find
close
out.
on that.
inspection department,
Yep,
both
And
salaries
Board
and
of Health.
expense,
yep,
and then Board of Health.
yep.
Do you know anything about Frontier Capital?
I don't believe there's gonna be Frontier Capital other than, and I can talk to Darius, on the third, when I go over to Frontier, but I think,
Well, I was gonna say,
before that, too.
that was the
Maybe
other one.
before that.
There's a meeting, is it on the third?
It is on the third, yep.
At 6 o'clock,
At
right?
6 o'clock, yep,
Okay, that's the
Frontier
Frontier budget,
yep.
annual budget meeting.
And I don't believe there'll be a capital request other than maybe a couple warrant articles that they were looking at.
Well, that's
for-
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
They got a couple warrant articles?
I
What
think there are, that was the discussion a month ago when I was there, a few weeks
Okay.
back. But-
Because we haven't seen them.
Right, I'll call, yeah, I can call him tomorrow.
And then, Deerfield, it's what we've been already discussing.
Yes,
Okay,
yep, nothing
library
different
thing?
on that.
Well,
And
that's.
Just that I was gonna have
Okay.
it scheduled.
Wait.
we were looking for Deerfield's budget, there was a number a little bit lower, that was in discussion, 0.5% or something like that, not even. But it really revolved around, just for transparency, it revolved around a psychologist, a part-time psychologist to come and do more work, because there's so much social emotional work that's going on with the children that are coming to the school, and it is, we're at risk of out-of-districting kids for these issues at about $70,000 a whack. And we're continuing to build a program to handle that and to deal with these issues and maybe even take in a $70,000 student to deal with the social emotional stuff that the kids are dealing with. In the beginning of the year, they were very close. It was ready to go. They put a team together. They worked really hard to try and deal with this child's issues, keep them in the school, keep them interested.
Do we have a school psychologist?
We do. We have a
Okay.
school psychologist, and there's just so many, is it 401s? No, that's a 401K. What's the other one?
IEP.
501.
501c3.
Yeah,
Three.
three.
Oh,
So
so
there's been a
another
ton of
nonstop.
those and a lot of these evaluations, and it's just, there's not enough time to do the real work of working with the kids because you're constantly meeting with parents. So this will alleviate some of that and kind of the building a team to kind of deal with those issues. So we thought it was a better bet to continue to build that program, fund a part-time, not a position that required benefits or anything like that, just part-time psychologist to help out the one we have and the adjustment counselor to address these issues so we're not sending kids out of district. And maybe we can get a child in and cover some more costs. But so that was the discussion at that last meeting. I'm not sure where it'll finish out. That was kind of, that's why we
Thank
said,
you.
let's send the 2.9 to the towns and to the town and just we think we're going that way, but we're gonna vote, and have another discussion of it next meeting, which will be the 11th. That was really the difference on the budget.
Well, that's also, the budget meeting is the
It
11th
is,
too.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
so,
So we'll discuss and vote that night, so.
okay. What else have we got?
I did go over this week and looked at the floor, and they did the two public bathrooms right in that first hallway. They look great. The floors are epoxy. They look awesome.
Are they smooth now?
It's a
Do they have a
rough.
bump in?
There is a bump in them. Still the bump's there, but they just kind of refinished everything there, and they put all the green dividers in, so no one can write on them. They're clean. They're not rusted. I did tour all the other bathrooms. They're a mess. I mean, it's really bad. Things are rusting right off the wall, but it's gonna be great when they do them, because if you get a chance to go in there, they look great. They really look great. So, and I talked to the janitor. The floor in the gym is fantastic. He says so much easier to maintain now, really easy to, and then we have money years out to refinish that again. So they've been really pleased with that, very grateful. I did talk to him, I said, yeah, I know we have some money in 2024 to do the kitchen, or start looking at that. And he said that the dishwasher there is failing, like every 3 months they're getting people in to repair the thing and try and get it going again. That,
Oh, right, Valley,
are you seeing bills on that?
oh, yeah.
I don't know how much they are,
Well,
but
they're usually 120 to 250, but they
But
come through monthly.
it's constantly breaking down. So that piece of machinery may show up quicker than 2024. And she sent me an email this week that, because she heard I was in just asking around, and if I can look at this real quick, I sent it to my town one. So, bear with me 1 second, I just wanted to look and see if it's in here. Because she was talking about, maybe I don't have it here, but she listed off the items that were the issues that she was looking at. Let me just look real quick. So that would have been Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll hunt for it and let you know, but it was, oh, here we go. dishwasher, new ovens, a washer and dryer. They must have a washer dryer kind of there. So
Right.
those were the items that were like really, she said, I'm on the lead team for the DES cafeteria. Curtis Wells told me to contact you with our wish list. Below is listed the things that would be most helpful to us at the moment and in the future. Thanks for your help and consideration on these. The dishwasher, which was breaking down, new ovens, which could be down the road, washer, dryer.
We find out what the dishwasher's been costing us for the last 6 months.
Yes, we could.
And
could
once
get
we
those
find
bills.
that out, maybe it would be incumbent upon the school to just turn around and buy one
Yeah.
and pay it out of current expenses, because you're probably paying more than that now to maintain it.
Yeah, we'll look at, maybe we can do something like that and look at, you know.
mean, I-
moving
You know,
on
if
with
the
that,
thing's
so-
$3,000 or $4,000, I'd rather take it out of our
Right,
fund and
Yeah.
just pay for the damn thing.
right, instead of maintaining them constantly.
The cost of maintaining can
Yeah,
kill you.
it can. So I'll get a little more info on that with Brenda.
Okay.
But-
Might be a little more energy
Okay.
efficient also, all
Yes.
the way down the line with a new,
Yeah,
compared to,
yeah,
You know, if the
Well,
washer and dryer is
right.
working, we don't have to touch it.
Right.
If there's a lot of maintenance costs on one item,
Right.
we ought to consider doing something.
yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I'm going back years, for decades. One of the things that we used to do was kind of tighten up on, the superintendent kind of held everybody's feet to the fire as far as the budget. And then at the end of the year, you know, if you had $20,000 left over, you use that to do
Yeah.
some of the
That's right.
major.
We did, yeah, I know like one year we did the
Mhm.
tables in the cafeteria,
Yep.
we just kind of, we had some extra money left at the end of the year, so we'll look at that too, maybe we can pull from there instead of, you know, putting a warrant article out.
The school lunch fund has been running very positive for the last few
That's
years
fine
too.
with
And
Good.
you
There's
need
a
a
lot of towns
dishwasher
that
for
are-
that.
Right.
Well, I think it's
No,
sitting at
seriously.
it's sitting
No,
at
I-
$30,000 right now,
Good.
I think.
Well, in that case, then cut,
Take it out of that fund.
no, don't take it out of that fund. Reduce the cost of school lunch.
Yeah, we'll look at that, I know we're asked every year to kind of look at that, and, I know a lot of towns are struggling, you know, you hear it, you
Yes.
see it.
Oh,
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah.
They're 50,000 in the hole, or 100,000 in the hole, and,
Well, Patty, when Patty was there, there
yeah,
were a couple times it was negative, and she
Yes.
actually supplemented from the
Out of the
appropriation
budget.
line item.
Yep.
yeah, and then and then the food service director that we have now, we've hired one, she does, I think, all the schools, and she's been really good, I mean, she's,
Mary,
Mary, yeah,
Mhm.
she's done a great job, I think, for all the schools in the district, and, it's been really good, so.
yeah, but none of her salary is charged against the school lunch fund either, I don't think.
Right.
I think it's
probably just,
all-
an appropriation.
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. But
And I
she's-
think
she's
that's how they
definitely-
keep the school lunch fund positive.
Yeah,
yeah.
so I think that's all I have for the schools, yeah.
I just had a comment from the board from last night. We're gonna set up a separate budget discussion meeting to review some of the budgets that Skip just mentioned, like the wastewater budget, legal, inspections, Board of Health, so we'll come back to you with more information. I just haven't had a chance to nail
Yeah,
that
we-
time down.
Left her to work with David, because David's schedule's a little tougher than
Right.
Carolyn and I, so
Right.
she said, work that out this week and let us know.
Yeah.
We'll come in.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
I
we
will give you an
we
update.
do need to get that,
Done
you know,
soon, yeah,
get-
we
yeah.
know that,
so that we can, because I'm afraid that, you know,
we're gonna be cutting.
that's right.
Yeah.
We're gonna end up going back and having to take a look at these budgets,
Yep.
period.
Yep, I know that too.
Either that or you get a 2.5 override.
We'll look at the budgets again. Did you guys talk about, the truck for the, highway department? Was it me, or, I thought we bought one last year.
Did.
It
We
wasn't- It wasn't on the schedule, but we were gonna pull it forward and buy one last year, because
No.
because we didn't have
We-
anything that was really needed, and we thought,
Yeah.
let's pull it here and that will free up next year, but we have
No.
another truck.
I
we're
thought it
buying.
was the other
there's-
other way
there's-
around,
right.
they had it
It's the other way
scheduled
around.
maybe for next year, but they did it this year, because then next year won't be so much.
right,
Right.
that's how.
But
And
we're
they-
buying
and
this
that's
one
what
this
Kevin
year.
was
Yes,
saying
you bought,
today.
you bought one,
Made an
you
adjustment.
bought one last year.
Right,
And that was for plowing purposes.
right.
Because the truck they had
Was a one
supposed,
foot-
right,
yeah, it was
was
a
an
small
eight,
truck. Yeah, I
8-foot
remember
plow,
this.
right,
Right.
and was not doing what needed
Yeah.
to be done. So they went to F-350
Right,
last year. This year, they're put in for F-250.
but
Oh, I thought it was a 150.
not a four-wheel drive.
No,
No,
it's, it was for the, more or less for the highway superintendent,
And the guys just-
to, do his business and that, and we asked about that on the committee. A two-wheel drive will be good enough and not a four-wheel drive, and he said that he did not need a four-wheel drive because when he uses that truck, the roads are pretty much cleared at that point. So, right, and the superintendent, more or less, and we had quite a discussion.
Yeah.
There was a couple times where we had to go back and change paperwork on it.
Do
because
they
the
need a truck
Committee had a
really
lot of
bad?
questions. Well, that's
I'm
what,
thinking, does it have
that's
to
what-
happen this year?
right, well, that's what we had asked. We did discuss that in quite a bit of detail. And, what they're doing is first they're gonna trade out a '09, I think it was, wasn't it, John? And
I
then.
got it here.
Right, and because it was one of the trucks that the wastewater treatment plant was using.
Right.
And so that, they determined that they could make it was a 10, I think. I've got the paperwork, but it was one of the others, there was an 09 and a 10. And so, when we questioned, they decided that they'd be better off trading out the opposite truck
Yeah.
and keeping the one that they had for another 4 years, I think it is. So, next round. But yes, we did question that and
I
supposedly.
just thought we were.
Well, instead of him
Yeah.
driving,
Truck
he
this
drives
year.
a really big one, so I'm
Right,
sure that
he's
this is
spending a
gonna
lot
be
of
more
money on
efficient.
fuel driving the
Well,
one
this
he
is definitely,
is.
that was
And
part
what-
of it
what
was
this
with
would do is
the, with
replace-
the two-wheel drive compared to
Right.
the four-wheel drive.
He's gonna save a lot of money.
Right.
I just talked to him about it 2 hours
The
ago.
wastewater treatment plant people use it also to run back and
Back and
forth.
forth.
Okay.
Old Deerfield and down
This
to
truck
South
that they're
Deerfield.
gonna be buying, they're gonna use that truck, you think?
No, the one that they're keeping.
They're keeping.
Right, they're gonna run that wastewater treatment plant's gonna be run that. The new truck is gonna be basically the
The
superintendent.
superintendent and
guys
any crew
to
that he
get
has to
from
move
job
around.
to job and that, yeah.
Alright.
So yes,
I was hoping we weren't buying a truck this year.
yeah, well, we were kinda hoping that too, but
Hmm.
Kevin convinced us that it was needed.
Alright.
That remains to be seen, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Well, like I
Battle
say,
that a little bit longer.
we asked a lot of questions,
Mhm.
and like I say, the paperwork went back and forth a couple of times before we,
Yeah, moved on
you
it.
know, we actually had Kevin come in a couple of times,
Yeah.
because we definitely looked long and hard at that, so. And once again, if the select board has additional questions,
Yeah,
that's fine.
yeah, we talked about,
Yeah.
I didn't, I think I missed that one.
We-
took off
we
and then-
didn't-
Yeah.
we didn't
missed
ask that
one.
question
I forgot
before it
to
got
ask
enough,
it.
so-
The opportunity is there at the next,
Yeah,
at the
right.
budget
Yeah, we'll do
meeting
it
to
again.
ask.
Right, the
Because I'm
idea
keeping
of
notes.
it,
Were there any other budgets that you guys?
When's our next meeting?
Well, I was wondering about OPEB, did you wanna talk about OPEB tonight, or you wanna leave that for another meeting?
I'd leave that until we get to the point where we've got, look at the,
See what the total is, yeah.
next
I-
round of
I
trucks,
just like to start.
Trevor is
Yeah.
24,
Oh, okay, so we have a few years.
so it'd be another,
But
right.
is there a larger piece of equipment coming in the next?
of course.
Yes.
Right,
What?
Did you
Oh,
get
I
a
know, I
copy of
did
this?
that.
Did you get a copy of the 5-year plan?
Yeah, but I didn't know what the
Yeah, I was
item.
gonna say,
oh, maybe-
Freightliner is,
Oh, right, one of the bigger.
right,
So
one of the big
what
ones,
he was doing was making an
180,000 and
adjustment, right?
24. And then there's another,
There's a truck in 224
right, and there's
too.
also a truck in
And
24.
2022 is the
Paid
John
loader?
Deere loader.
Right,
okay.
and hopefully we get a few more years out of that.
I know he's trying to space them out
Right.
based on that 23-year plan, but,
I
it
would-
makes sense, but to do that, but
Right.
still, that's a.
I still would, right, I still would like to, my personal view, I would like to replace equipment as needed. I know
Instead of
people
like-
do schedules and
I
that,
know, I know.
but,
Then they get locked into the schedule.
Well,
So
Right,
it's
you
on
get
the
locked into
schedule.
the
Although
schedule
didn't-
and-
Didn't he push
and-
something out a little bit further,
Right.
or, I mean, I'm sure
It
he's,
was a small item, then,
Oh, okay.
right, yeah. But yes,
They're reluctant to that because
well, you
we used
get,
to replace one major piece of equipment every 30 years
right,
at the fire station, so I use that concept. Except instead of 30 years, they want to do it in 10 years. That's the same thing if you take a look at it, that EMS is done. How long they been in business? 5 years? And they're already getting their third new ambulance in 5 years? That shows you how much you're overfunded. I said that from day one.
Well, each of those pieces of equipment came in age.
well, you,
The
I was gonna say, we're not
international,
talk
right.
about
I don't think
a
we'll do it again in
cost
5
to-
years, right?
Cost to
They have a
repair
replacement
things.
schedule set up.
I know
That
that.
one is
But
But that's
costing
not,
money.
and that's not
It
every
depends.
year though.
I don't know.
They
what
wanna
the
bring it
schedule
down
is.
to
If they
4.
have a schedule to replace it every
But
15
it's
years,
fine.
that's fine.
I think
But to
it
buy
was-
3 new pieces
what
of
they're
equipment
trying
in
to
5
do
years,
also,
there's
Kevin,
something
what
wrong
they,
with that.
yeah.
Well, no,
What
Jack,
they're
keep
trying
in
to do,
mind
Trevor, was,
that
Kevin was
each piece of
trying
equipment
to,
came in at a different age.
do
I know
these
that.
budgets.
So
I'm still
he's-
saying
he's
that when you
working
buy
on a
3
schedule.
pieces
So
of
you don't have
equipment
the
in 5
peaks and
years,
valleys, which I
we
kinda
started
understand,
off the
but
first
still,
year
for
with an
me,
$800,000 or $900,000 free cash
as
figure.
you're seeing with the dollars.
We could have bought 3 new ambulances
You
in
know,
the
if we
first
can squeeze
year.
a couple more years out, let's
That's the
squeeze
issue.
it, you know?
Then-
If it's gonna, you know,
That's
it's
the
an
issue.
emergency vehicle.
I don't
you
have a
need to
problem
make
with what
sure
they're
it's
doing. I
there,
think they're
then you
doing a
gotta
great
do it,
job.
so.
Yeah.
But the funding, it does
I
not
think
look
it's time to cut
appropriate.
off the conversation.
You
Okay.
did bring
And the
that up.
problem is, we gotta let the selectmen do it because they're on that committee.
Do we have
I'm not
another
doing
meeting
it.
scheduled?
No, but we will,
Hey,
we'll keep looking.
I had a question for you.
Needs to go full.
Who are the reps on that, who are on the Board of Oversight?
Carolyn's the fiscal agent, and David is there representing Deerfield.
And who else?
And,
Mark Russo.
Mark
Matt,
Russo.
Matt Russo.
Okay.
Matt
Russo.
Russo. He
Yeah.
took my spot, yeah.
So let me
So
ask
we
you a
have
question.
2 people.
Do you post a selectmen's meeting for every one of those
Probably
Board of
not.
Oversight meeting? I guess you better start.
Probably,
Better
yeah.
start because you got 2 selectmen
We
there.
had 3 for a while. I think those
We
were
did used to
posted
post them,
actually.
yeah.
No one showed up
But
to the
I
last
don't know if they
meeting.
have been, but I wanna put that on the tickler, just to remember.
Do we have
There's
another
the
meeting
EMS
scheduled
meeting.
for?
Not
So,
the board.
so when,
Right.
no,
We
we
should
don't.
kinda
So
start.
when are we gonna meet again, folks?
Right, we haven't, we talked about, I think we had Monday and Thursday kinda earmarked next week in case we wanted to meet, one of those, right?
Yeah, well, that was because of Kevin's schedule, I think, in part.
Oh, I thought it was because of everyone else is here, but maybe that's,
We can't, we won't have information from Frontier until Tuesday.
Tuesday
Right,
night,
Tuesday
and
night.
I tried to confirm that. I couldn't get on their website
It is,
this
yeah,
afternoon.
I've seen it, and it's posted out on the.
I couldn't
bulletin
find
board.
it out there, but that's all
I'll-
right,
I'll show you, yep.
yeah. And then we won't have Deerfield's final one until the 11th, but we
I'm
get
out-
Frontier's capital.
I'm out of town until at least the 18th of
You gonna
March.
go get some Coronas? Where are you going?
So, could we,
The
could we,
beer. I'm going for the beer. Yeah.
Right, you better drink
can we
a lot.
meet once next week? Either Wednesday or Thursday? Tuesday would be tough
Do
because
we have a
of,
meeting on the 3rd or not?
well,
That's
not
the
the third,
election.
because
No.
that's the election, so,
Right.
There's a
Thursday
school
next
committee
week.
meeting
I
now?
thought there was a school committee meeting at Frontier. on the
Yes.
3rd.
There
Yeah,
is.
there.
Was it Frontier?
There's no
Yeah,
space
yeah,
there.
Frontier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't know that we need to actually have a
At
meeting
6,
to go to
right?
that. That's,
Well, it's also on voting day, so I suggest we not do it on that day.
I can't come anyway on Tuesdays, or Wednesday next week, so Thursday the 5th. Would that work for you guys?
works for me, sort of.
So when?
Thursday, the
Thursday.
6 p.m.?
And
John, when do you leave
now,
town?
are the
Will
selectmen
you
meeting
leave town?
between now and then?
We
Next
still
Monday.
have to iron
Monday.
it out.
I'm gonna,
Going somewhere fun?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not, I don't
already
leave
gave
till
it to me to deal with.
Thursday, but I gotta start getting ready, so
so,
won't be available.
when are the selectmen meeting next? I'm
They're
asking, you're the
meeting
chairman.
The
Check it
11th,
in
You're
with
the-
her.
you-
I know, I've delegated.
No, you can't, you get, so, we need these budgets.
I know you do.
We
I
need
don't know
numbers.
if you'll have by the 5th. It all depends on their meeting schedule, but, or when they
There,
can-
who's there?
when David and Casey can get together on a date, we'll be here. We'll figure it out.
Well, I
I know.
we can't hold off town meeting until.
I know.
So,
It'll be quick, they know, we talked about it last night that you guys need to
maybe,
have
maybe we
those.
can meet in the morning.
I can't. I gotta work. I gotta make some money.
6 o'clock.
I can meet at 6, yeah. Depending on where I'm going.
So Fin Committee on the 5th
On the 5th.
at 6 o'clock.
And hopefully we can,
And
we'll
then-
see if we can do
Do you have
the, at
another
least
one after that?
get, we're gonna have to.
Well, I mean, why don't you, like, you have another date, like after the 11th?
Do we remember Julie's schedule? She hasn't
I
been here to
thought she-
advocate for herself for a
I thought she was
while.
not going to be available on Wednesdays, but she hasn't been here either of the last 2 meetings, so has anybody talked to her, or?
No, I haven't.
So I won't be available
Did-
the 11th when you meet CIPC.
Right, yeah,
meetings, okay.
yeah, I do, you sent me an email on that, so I appreciate that. Did she know we were meeting tonight?
Same way
Email.
everybody else did, we got an email.
Okay, all right.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Pat
that's
would've
right
sent
too,
it.
Yeah, she
right,
did.
Yeah.
that's right too, yeah. Okay.
So the following week, I would be available Monday the 9th, the 11th.
The select board goes the 11th.
We,
Yeah.
that's Deerfield Elementary
Yeah,
School
that's my
meeting,
birthday.
And
so.
then we're gonna come
So the
over here
9th or
around
the
7:30
12th?
after.
Right, well, we
I
got a
couldn't meet on
capital
the 12th, or I
improvement
could,
plan
but it'd be
meeting,
late.
a capital improvement committee meeting at 6:15,
Mm.
scheduled on the 11th.
Is
No,
that
you
the
don't.
hearing? Is that the hearing?
Okay, so here's what
We didn't
happened,
do
they
that.
wanna go to the elementary school budget presentation.
That's at 6.
So they're starting at 6 over at the elementary school, they're gonna come back to the town hall for 7:30. And start the rest of that meeting, and basically it's gonna be you and the energy committee and items that are just easy votes.
Okay,
I've
the
been
only
told to limit the
problem with
agenda.
that, well, all right. The only problem with that is Jack had, already sent in a posting for 6:15 for
That's all
the
right.
capital
We can change
improvement
that.
committee.
Change that?
Yeah, we can change that.
Okay.
Change that, so
Yeah.
you'll change that,
I'll post it
7:30.
for 7:30.
so
Yeah,
you'll
and
post
we'll
it for
take your
7:30?
business up first.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I will
Yeah, I
have
already
to
have you on.
notify Jack and them, the agenda will stay the same, but I'll have to notify the committee for 7:30 now,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
So we're on for the 5th, right?
Yes,
What time?
6 p.m.
6.
Everybody
Barely.
okay with that?
Barely made it today, so I can't guarantee anything earlier than 6.
Oh, okay, all right, good. Okay, that's good
7:30.
to know.
Sometimes maybe I can, but
Yep.
I wouldn't have made it today, so
Okay.
Okay.
it's a crapshoot.
I'm
And the
sorry,
selectmen can have all their budgets then.
which was that meeting time
6.
6.
for the 5th?
Yes.
Correct.
Or
Okay, and we didn't set another day.
6 for 5.
Correct,
Right,
not
I'm
yet.
shuffling capital improvement plus Finn here, so I wanna make sure, all right.
Yeah, secretary.
In the elementary,
She'll,
is
she'll
what time
she'll
on
have the
11th?
minutes sent out
6
by
o'clock.
the end of the
Before you
meeting.
get to your car. I don't
You'll be
have
able to
time
check
to
it.
do it later, so we're doing it
Yeah,
now.
and Frontier's on the 3rd.
So this committee, we could maybe meet the 9th, but if that's too early, I think we're looking at the following week because
Well,
of everybody's conflicts. and
do we wanna
things.
meet Thursday after the select board's meeting on Wednesday?
The 9th,
well,
just to
after,
let
well,
you
either that
know.
or we meet at
The-
something like,
I couldn't meet on Thursday unless it's
Okay.
at 7:30 or later. I've got another meeting.
Or on-
In case anyone's
Wednesday.
interested, there's a chapter 70 funding presentation in Northampton at, is it at Kennedy School there on Bridge Street? So,
Yeah.
I forget who's putting that on, but there's, understanding chapter 70 funding issue going on there.
Yeah.
So,
go for it.
I'm going,
Take Carolyn with you.
Great.
yeah.
Right. The paper money stays in Boston, and we
Right.
get the nickel, dime,
Exactly.
and pennies in Western
There you go.
Mass.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna tell you at the
Nice.
chapter 70 meeting.
Yeah. I'm hoping that.
When
who's
is it?
that guy that did that other one? It was at 6:30 at the,
When?
on the 9th. Who was the guy who did the, you remember, what's his name? Really knows, school funding?
Mark Abrams,
Nope, he's a guy out of Turner's or something?
I don't know.
Remember we were at that meeting and he was like, he had that stuff down.
Steve
Uh,
Ellis? Would
No,
Steve understand? No.
Yeah, you sure it wasn't Mike Sullivan?
no, it was just I don't know if he was on finance committee or somebody, or school committee somewhere in Gill or something like that.
He was making it
Oh,
up.
Greg Snedeker.
Yeah, I
Is it
think
Greg?
I think it sounds like
Is he a
Greg
golfer?
or.
No,
No,
I
there
always
was
wondered
another-
that, he
there was
won't tell
another name,
me.
But the guy
a
really
friend of mine.
understood this chapter, you know, the
So
charter
Greg
school
and,
funding
yeah,
and all
Greg
that
and a
kind
group
of
did a
stuff.
white paper
They-
on
they-
school funding
Yeah, they-
last year.
It was good.
And his school committee members, he's a member of the select board, they all basically did a study
Mm-hmm.
and published it. Ray Purrington, who's their town coordinator, can get it for us, but Greg is very conversant in school funding.
Yes, yeah, it was worth listening to it.
Well, that was the one where they were talking about changes,
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
which is
Yeah, we were
part
up
of
at
this.
GCC, it was a big
Yes,
meeting at GCC, yeah. We gotta find something to do, cause it's.
Okay,
For
can we?
that second meeting,
We got, no, we'll do that.
just one?
Just one.
Make a motion to adjourn, you ready for that?
We got a motion. I don't have to.
I'll second it.
It's been seconded. It's not debatable. All those in favor?